Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. It's a science fiction Saturday again. I've got one science fiction movie, and I've got one kind of horror suspense movie. I can move the genres around a little bit if I like. The first one I'm going to do is a science fiction movie, but the second one is the better movie. So stick around for that, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do next time for Science Fiction Saturday. Sometime with movies, you want them to be much better than they are. If you're a movie buff, there's a certain kind of optimism and a certain kind of idealism that you have toward the movies that you're going to watch. And as the movie starts, little things happen, and you kind of get optimistic about it, and you want them to be better, and then they disappoint you. You want the movie to be better than it is. And that's been happening to me a lot lately, where there's potential in the movie. You can just see where it can possibly go that would delight you and make it a fun evening or morning, in this case, entertainment. But it doesn't land. And then I get all disappointed and I rant about it on social media. This time around, I went to the movies to see two new feature films. I went down to the Sun in Yarraville, the beautiful Art Deco cinema. I got into one cinema that I hadn't been before, I think called St. George's, which is a 25-seat mini cinema, all done up in Art Deco. It is a beautiful little flea pit. The Sun has 8 different cinemas in it. They're all decorated differently. They're all different sizes. And one day I'll have gone through all of them. But this time around, I just added one more. I think I'm about 6 in. There are 2 more cinemas that I haven't been to within the complex, but I look forward to doing those. The St. George's is a lovely little flea pit. That's not the one I'm going to talk about first, though. The one I'm going to talk about first, I saw in the Grand, which is pretty much the largest cinema in the complex. If it's not the largest, it's the second largest. Great big one. It's got a Wurlitzer organ to one side in it. Really big cinema. And I'm there by myself, which made me worry. For a start, I wasn't sure whether the movie was going to be on because there's only one person in this enormous cinema. Secondly, it didn't bode well for whether people wanted to go and see this movie. And that movie was, from 2024, Borderlands, directed by Eli Roth, a director whose work could best be called variable. He's occasionally made a good horror film, and he's made some god-awful ones. This one leans towards the latter. Borderlands is based on a computer game series which started out a dozen years ago. Kind of popular. It's a kind of comedy, science fiction, action computer game. Haven't played it. I tried to read one of the comics based on Borderlands to get ready for this particular video. And the comic's so bad I didn't even bother. Now, when a comic book is so bad that I don't ever bother with it, again, red flags. So the movie stars Cate Blanchett, and it was made originally just as COVID hit, filmed the majority of this film in 2021 in Hungary. They did reshoots of it in 2023 and released it in 2024. More red flags. So the cast, you've got Cate Blanchett as Lilith, the protagonist of the movie, a bounty hunter who is not reluctant to shoot people in the head when she needs to. She's got a red hairdo, and then all through the movie I kept wondering where she got hair gel from, but that's just me. You got Kevin Hart playing Roland, a very short soldier, who's a mercenary working for Atlas Corporation, and the big bad is a character called Atlas, played by Edgar Ramirez, who is not a charismatic actor in this particular film. He doesn't seem to be on the same page as the rest of the cast. We have Ariana Greenblatt as Tiny Tina, a short young woman who is ostensibly the daughter of Atlas, and who likes to blow things up with exploding toy bunny rabbits. Because of course you do. We then have Jack Black as the voice of Claptrap, a weird little robot who is supposed to be cute and endearing, and I'm told he's cute and endearing in the game itself. But there's a few problems with Jack Black playing Claptrap. For a start, the dialogue he's given is piss awful. And for another thing, the audio quality on Claptrap is not as good as the rest of the characters. There are times when Claptrap's voice is kind of low in the mix, and that's problematic. It's not just me. I've looked at a couple of reviews since I watched the movie, and a couple of people complained about this. When you've got an actor doing a voiceover for an animated character, and essentially a CG robot as an animated character, you need the mix to be as even as the other character's dialogue, and it isn't. And that either shows they ran out of money to do that, they didn't care, or they ran out of time. But given the fact that it was made in 2021 and released in 2024, I don't think time was the problem there. We also have Jamie Lee Curtis as well, playing a woman called Tannis, who was the stepmother of Lilith when she lived on the planet in her youth. Now, Jamie Lee Curtis is 10 years older than Cate Blanchett, and Jamie Lee Curtis is 65, and she has proudly 65-year-old woman's face. And I like it. I like the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis didn't end up getting plastic surgery and filler and all that shit and making her face look like a cross between somebody in a wind tunnel and an alien from Star Trek Next Generation. Cate Blanchett, you can't say the same. There's filler there, there's Botox. Her character's face is kind of disturbing at times. And that's one of the problems I have with these kinds of films and with actors who have a certain vanity about their appearance, whether they're male or female. Tom Cruise has the same thing now. He's got a lot of filler in his face, and it shows in various moments. I don't like it. Actors have 3 different instruments. They have their voice, they have their face, and they have their physicality. And you can have 2 of those, but if the third one's not there, it's off-putting. And I think Cate Blanchett's got there. Now, again, it's not a gendered thing. It's a thing about a certain kind of actor and actress who depends on their looks and wants to look a certain way. That, for me, is disappointing. Yeah, people do what you like with your face and your body. But if you see it on the screen and you're trying to sell me something, then that gives me the implicit right to an opinion, which is you're not doing yourself a favour. You're not doing your vast talent as an actress. And Cate Blanchett's a fantastic actress. You've got to kind of fight through the muscle paralysis of Botox and the oddness of facial filler to play roles. That's just my opinion. If you disagree, I'm happy to hear the disagreements, as long as you keep it polite. You also get Gina Gershon playing a woman who runs a kind of casino brothel on the planet. And Gina Gershon is great in this, as indeed is Jamie Lee Curtis. They both know the level at which to play the characters. And Gina Gershon, with a truly impressive cleavage, in a small role as Mad Moxie, is a lot of fun, and that's the kind of stuff that makes me want the movie to be better. Now, the plot's pretty simple. Lilith is sent by the Atlas Corporation to rescue Tiny Tina from Roland the soldier and bring her back for Atlas. Now, the reason Atlas wants her is that she is one of the 3 keys to an alien treasure. The other 2 keys look like arancini. And so they go to Pandora, and this isn't the Pandora in James Cameron's sexual fantasy movies, the Avatar series. This is a junkyard planet, and it's a kind of generic junkyard planet. Yeah, the junkyard planet thing works well in a computer game, but the backgrounds and the landscapes and all of that in this movie sometimes don't look right. I don't know whether some of it was filmed on a volume, one of those backdrops that is made up of a whole bunch of TV screens, and they project the backdrop on there and then move the parallax around as they need to, kind of like they did in The Mandalorian. It's got a little feel of that, but there are times when the computer-generated backgrounds don't quite sync with the characters, and that kind of disappoints as well. The other thing I found out about the movie, by the way, the budget was around $120 million, and so far it's made $18 million. So there's not a good investment there. Leaving aside the financial stuff, one of the other things I found out about the movie, which is, for me, a disappointment, because there are things that could have been done to improve the movie, is they wanted to make it PG-13 for the American market, where a lot of scenes were filmed, which would have been a soft R, would have been up at the next level of adults watching the movie in the weird American classification system. They decided to go with a PG-13, so where there are scenes where there should be heads exploding and decapitations and dismemberments and all those cool things you want in a computer game-based movie, you don't get them. It's soft on the violence, and the violence is pretty much one of the pillars of this kind of movie, and it just doesn't land. I mean, it's bright, it's colourful, there's lots of pew-pew. I did have to go out for a toilet break, and I did it at the start of one of the gunfights in some tunnels in the movie. And by the time I got back a minute or 2 later, they were still on that gunfight. Didn't miss a bloody thing in the movie. That's a disappointing film. The only reason I think it got a theatrical release here in Australia is that Cate Blanchett is a private school girl from Melbourne. So if an Australian actor is in a movie, it's much, much more likely to get a theatrical release in Australia. It's really sad. It's a disappointing movie. It's pitched about a mid-level streaming service movie, so if it had been just released on streaming services straight away, it would have found an audience and may well still find an audience a little bit later when it does go to streaming. But it's not in the modern world theatrically good. It's a streaming service, mid-level movie, kind of like another movie called Atlas, the silly one that had Jennifer Lopez in it. Did fantastically well on streaming, but if you put it in the cinema when it was going to first come out, it would have been torn apart like a piece of meat thrown to hungry dogs. Borderlands, I'm not inclined to play the game having seen the movie. Let's put it that way. I'm told the game plays well for a lot of people, but my first exposure to this is the movie, and I'm kind of going, yeah, I don't think I'll bother. Now, there are a whole bunch of movies that would do well as movie series or streaming series. Things like the Destiny computer games have an enormous backstory, a really interesting lot of world building, and a whole bunch of cascading villains that would make a good streaming series. And there's still the possibility that may happen if Bungie can cut a deal with a movie studio. And there are any number of other computer games that would do really well, but this one doesn't. And I was kind of disappointed seeing that one. It was the second movie I saw. I was well satisfied. I just had a really nice lunch of a banh mi and a Vietnamese iced coffee. Do they have banh mi's where you are? Banh mi's are the best lunch. Vietnamese baguettes, lots of vegetables in them, lots of chili, lots of chopped up pork. Fantastic lunch. And there's a place across the road from the Sun that does a meal deal for $15 that I really love. So I was well satisfied and feeling quite sanguine when I watched this movie. And then it disappointed me. So next up, we've got the other movie. So the movie I saw in the little rinky-dink Art Deco 25-seat cinema at the Sun was M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. And Trap I enjoyed. A lot of people see M. Night Shyamalan as a one-trick pony. You've always got to find the twist in the movie. And if you can predict the twist, the movie diminishes for you. But he did something a little bit interesting in this one. The movie's not perfect, and I'm going to explain why in a little bit, but he did something interesting in this one. He gave away the biggest twist in the trailer. Josh Hartnett's in the movie playing a guy called Cooper, who's taking his daughter Riley, played by Ariel Donahue, who's an Australian actress, by the way, and she's very good in the role, to the equivalent of a Taylor Swift concert. A concert by a really big pop star called Lady Raven, played by Shyamalan's daughter, Salika. Hold that in mind. Cooper's going to this big concert. His daughter's crazy excited. He's enthusiastic because he loves his daughter. And he suddenly starts noticing as they're going into the auditorium that there's a lot of cops around. And this spoiler is in the trailer, so I don't mind giving it to you. Cooper's actually a serial killer called the Butcher. And the cops have found out that the Butcher is going to attend this particular concert. Now, I know that sounds like a bit of a conceit, and it sounds like a bit of an obvious thing for a plot. And, you know, how did the cops find out that the Butcher was going to be in there? But there is an explanation which fits well with the story later in the movie. There's an FBI profiler on board too, played by, and you're going to love this, Hayley Mills is the FBI profiler in this. Hayley Mills is now 78 years old, and she gets a very kind of underwritten role playing an FBI profiler who knows a lot about the Butcher. She knows that he's got ADHD. She knows that he has issues with his mother, and she's got this trap set at this concert, which was going to go on anyway, for the Butcher. And as the movie goes on and as the concert goes on, Cooper has to juggle the fact that he's there with his daughter with the fact he's got to get the hell out of there. Cooper is a genius-level serial killer and a genius-level manipulator of people. He does social engineering like a master. He finds out what's going on by befriending a guy selling merch at one of the stalls in the auditorium. He decides he's got to find a way to deal with this and find a way to get backstage and find a way to get out of the auditorium. And part of the fun of this movie is the fact that we're on his side. We want him to get out. Cooper is such a likable character, and he's there with his daughter. And you want him to get out, even though he has a guy trapped in a basement, and he has an app on his phone where he can talk to this guy trapped in his basement, and at the touch of a button he can fill that basement with carbon monoxide and kill the guy in about 30 seconds. That's his leverage. So he's got to find a way backstage, and it's difficult. He puts in a lot of distractions. He pickpockets a pass. He finds out what the password he needs if he goes backstage is going to be, and the concert starts. Now, here's the bit. I'll go into this bit. Salika Shyamalan, playing Lady Raven, she wrote 14 songs for this particular movie and the concert within the movie. She's had a musical career. She's done supporting gigs for various artists around. She's had a couple of albums put out. She's okay at what she does, The music's a bit banal, and the lyrics are kind of, they feel like they're AI generated, to my ear at least. And she's got a certain presence. She's quite an attractive woman. She's pretty, and she dances okay on stage and stuff like that. Not fantastically well, but kind of okay. But there comes a point in the movie where Cooper and his daughter Riley meet Lady Raven, and things have to go on for the movie to progress to the second half. The bit in the auditorium where Cooper is trapped is only the first half of the movie. Here's the problem. Selika isn't a gifted actress. She hasn't had the training. She doesn't have the presence. There are times when she has to do some heavy emotional lifting in this movie as a character. And there are times when her character has to take a risk and risk her own life and do dangerous things and try to outwit this genius level serial killer. And to a certain point, she does, even though Cooper does get the upper hand various times. Selika Shyamalan, she doesn't react well. She has a smooth, untroubled face, and I don't know whether she's got Botox or what, or whether she just doesn't know how to project the micro expressions you need for a character to feel lived in the cinema. That kind of took me out of the movie. To put it in crude terms that I don't particularly like, she's a Nepo baby. And I was thinking at the end of the movie, don't put your daughter on the stage, Mr. Shyamalan. She may well have a good musical career. I don't know where she's going to go in the future. But the emotional beats she needs to carry in this movie are not carried well. And that is the part where the movie is disappointing for me. And I wanted the movie to be better. That character should have been played by somebody who could absolutely bloody nail that character, and it wasn't. Now, as the movie progresses, we meet Rachel, the wife of Cooper, played by Alison Pill. Fantastic actress. She hits every beat in her character arc fantastically. Our loyalties shift from Cooper to her when she comes into the movie in the last quarter of the film. And that's fantastic. I love that stuff. And the other fantastic thing here is Josh Hartnett is bloody good playing Cooper. His character is monstrous, charismatic. Really, he does so much with the character. He gives us a kind of serial killer we haven't seen before. He's a fireman. He's an everyday kind of guy. He has his lives very much separated. Got the happy family life with his wife and 2 kids in his little suburban home. But he's also got this darker half where he dismembers people after torturing them. And he gets monstrously angry when that separation isn't maintained because he has ADHD. He likes things to be neat and tidy. And Josh Hartnett does a fantastic job. This is as good a piece of acting in this kind of a movie as I've ever seen. His character, Cooper, who has the possibility of a sequel there, is really, really good. I like what he did. He gives us a monster who is charismatic. And for most of the movie, we're on the monster side. And in fact, right at the end of the film, we're probably still on the monster side. And I like that. And I like the fact that Shyamalan gives us that big twist of Cooper being the serial killer at the concert. It's kind of like Silence of the Lambs meets the Eras tour. That works. That really, really works because of Josh Hartnett, an actor who started out as a beefcake in 20 years ago in a bunch of films, but who over the years since has really learned his craft and honed it. And there are really subtle expressions on Cooper's face as things occur, where the mask falls, the facade of being the nice, everyday suburban dad falls away. And he hits every beat of that perfectly. I love that. And I recommend you see this movie. If you see it on streaming, that's fine. If you see it in the cinema, that's fine. But just be aware of that difficult part with Lady Raven in the film. It's a solid movie apart from that. And it's a direction I wouldn't mind seeing Shyamalan go if he can avoid putting his moderately talented family into the movie. That's a weakness. Yes, of course, you want your kids to do well. You love them. You want to nurture them. You want to support them. You want them to be good at what they do, and you want them to thrive in life. But there's a demarcation you need to draw, and you need voices around you to say no. And I don't believe he has that, which is a real shame. If you're into suspense films, by the way, there's no blood and guts in this. It's a singularly ungory movie for this kind of a film. But nonetheless, it works. I enjoyed it, but I had that proviso, and that comes into the theme of this video, which is, what do you do when you want a movie to be better than it is? It's a frustrating thing. It's an annoying thing. but I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say that Trap wasn't an enjoyable film, because it was. So that's it for this time around. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know if you've seen these films and whether you'd like them, and which Shyamalan movies work for you. I don't want to hear about the ones that don't work. We all know what they are. But let me know which ones work for you and which ones really hit for you. Because he's a director who's kind of interesting at times, kind of like Eli Roth is. Eli Roth's movies are occasionally interesting at times. They're both directors who have weaknesses, and they don't seem to be addressing and modifying their behaviour around those weaknesses. As I said, that's it for this time around. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any movies like these you'd recommend as well. You can support the channel too by becoming a channel member, or donating to the channel, or by becoming a patron at patreon.com/cherrytalksmovies. Next up, I've got the Monday video, and then I've got Wednesday video, and then I've got Science Fiction Saturday. Next Science Fiction Saturday, I'm going to be covering 2 movies. I've covered one of them before, but I want to go deeper into it. The first one is This Island Earth, which I love. And the second one is It Came From Outer Space, which I just got a new Blu-ray of. So I'm going old school in the next video for Science Fiction Saturday. And I'm going to enjoy that a lot. Just diving back into it and watching them, hopefully with fresh eyes. So that's it. Until next time, when I'm going to be doing something I don't know yet. Watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Let me know which movies you wanted to be better than they were, and I'll catch you next time.